I got a note here from Roy that said, Mark, can we please talk about Al-Aqsa? And I do want to talk about Al-Aqsa because what we saw today, just to understand, today is Israeli Independence Day. And because it's Israeli Independence Day, there are numerous people who have taken it as an opportunity inside of Israel to not just celebrate the creation of Israel as a settler colonial state, but who have also used it as an opportunity to antagonize Palestinians and to advance a right-wing political agenda. And so one of the things you see here is today inside of Aqsa Mosque, what we have seen is a raid basically of Al-Aqsa Mosque by extremist settlers. What you see here is literally people, hundreds. I'm not talking about a few people. I'm talking about more than 500 Israeli settlers rushed into Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is the third holiest mosque in Islam. It is the crown jewel of Jerusalem for Muslims and for Palestinians, just as the Western Wall, also known as the Wailing Wall, is for our Jewish brothers and sisters, just like the Church of the Sepulchre is for my Christian brothers and sisters. These settlers go inside, they rush into Aqsa Mosque on Israeli Independence Day, and they raise the flag, and they start performing Talmudic prayers. They sing loudly. They do things that are they do things that are designed to incite. There's nothing wrong with performing Talmudic prayers. There's nothing wrong with singing loudly. There's nothing wrong with exercising your faith. There's nothing wrong with raising your flag, but you don't rush into Al-Aqsa Mosque. You don't desecrate a mosque, just like you don't desecrate a church or a synagogue. You don't rush into there, often under the fake premise of we just want to pray. We just want religious liberty. This is not about that. This is about invading a space for incitement. I have stood in front of Al-Aqsa Mosque many times. I have stood inside of Al-Aqsa Mosque and watched settlers come in. I've watched the incitement. I have stood inside of outside of Bab al-Majlis, or on the other side of Bab al-Amud, and watched them line up from Damascus Gate, Bab al-Amud, and come all the way down to Bab al-Majlis, to walk all the way down the path, all the way to the Muslim quarter, and yell at Muslim women, taunt Palestinian women. I've watched them do this. I've watched the settler days. I've watched them, and there is nobody who could watch this. 526 settlers storming into a mosque on a Tuesday. And you have to understand, these are not people who are just Zionists. These are not calm, reasonable people with whom I just have a political disagreement, or you might have a political disagreement. This was a march that was sanctioned and even called for by groups like Lehava. Lehava is a Jewish supremacist far-right organization that is often sanctioned and banned on social media for calling for violence. They explicitly call for killing Palestinians. They explicitly call for bombing mosques. And last week, Lehava was literally inciting violence in Aqsa. They put up a huge banner on a main street in West Jerusalem. And if you look at the banner, it said, it says on Independence Day, that's today, May 14th, we will raise the flag in the mosque. Then there's another group called Women for the Settlement Temple. And they also said, let's storm the mosque. The group isn't unclear. They literally want to take the third holiest mosque in Islam, Al-Aqsa, and strip it away from Muslims and give it back, or give it to, they would say give it back to Jewish people, give it back to the Zionist movement, give it back to the settlers. That's what they would say. This is what's happening on Israeli Independence Day. And I don't think that it is a coincidence. I don't think that it is surprising. I think that it is quite telling that on Israeli Independence Day, they commemorate this Independence Day by doing what? by taking Palestinian land, by taking Palestinian property, not literally taking it like in terms of taking over ownership of it. It's actually controlled by the Jordanian Waqf, or the trust, but symbolically occupying it, symbolically taking it over, and calling to permanently and literally take it over, terrorizing Palestinians. If you've ever been inside of Masjid Al-Aqsa, when Zionist settlers storm in, which I have, this is one of the most terrifying things that you could ever experience. You don't know if you're going to live or die. When they start sound bombing, when they start trampling, when they start shooting,